Part of the Community Empowerment Programme, one of the strands is a leadership programme. And every year we take away 32 young people to Hendon Police College for a 6-day residential course. We've designed our own curriculum, we employ some outside tutors on a national basis, and we deliver that programme in cooperation with the facilities at Hendon Police College and also with the teachers themselves. And that curriculum itself is devised in mostly about empowerment, project work, and also for them to video, link and parachute into other youth projects across the world. So we have partners in America, especially Washington DC, Johannesburg in South Africa, and Kingston, Jamaica. The curriculum also deals with drug issues and specific as gun-related drug issues. You know, what we're finding within the community now is that there are young people that are carrying firearms. And the reason that they're carrying firearms are a multitude of reasons. But one of the reasons that the Young Black Police Association has highlighted is that it's around drugs. Now, when we explored that, none of our young black people want drugs to influence their community. None of them want to see their friends being involved in that type of thing.
What sort of illegal drugs should parents be aware of?
It's critically important that the parent develops competence in relation to how drugs impact on their young people, but also on the community as a whole. The key aspect of that process of competence building is the role of their leadership role, not only in the home, but within the community as a whole.
Cannabis. One of the most widely used illegal drugs in Britain is cannabis. It comes in a number of forms, one of which is marijuana, sometimes called bush or grass. The other is resin. It is sold in very small quantities called 5 or 10 pound deals. Cannabis can be smoked in the form of a cigarette known as joints or spliffs. These have a cardboard filter. Then there are smoking pipes. Some are handmade. Another method is a bucket. A bucket is filled with water and is used to draw the smoke into a bottle from which it is then inhaled. When you use it, you feel physically relaxed and you become laid back.
Ganja brings on a sense of well-being and a sense of meditation. And if you're concentrating on something, ganja can emphasize that concentration. So if you are into spiritual side of life, if you like, then the use of ganja will emphasize that kind of feeling even more so. But not all Rastaman smoke weed, you know. I've come across a few that don't use, or occasionally I come across some that smoke occasional times, or drink. Some don't always smoke, some they may just drink it.
Skunk. Called because of its pungent smell, skunk is an artificially grown potent form of cannabis, cultivated particularly for the European market.
In my experience, cannabis leads to other drug use. It's what we call a gateway drug. There are lots of myths around cannabis use also, such as it's not dependent forming and that it's safe. It isn't safe. If anybody who's taken in a drug into their body, it brings a lot of risk to health, and of course with it being a behaviour, also people can then become more dependent on its use and need more to get the same effect. So cannabis isn't safe.
People will be aware that over recent months and years there has been a lot of discussion about the use of cannabis, and in particular the use of cannabis by particular minority groups. From a policing point of view, as the law stands, cannabis is a Class B drug, and anyone in possession of cannabis is liable to arrest. Anyone dealing cannabis is liable to arrest and a serious penalty. More recently, there have been localised experiments, in particular in London, around the police focusing not on people who are using cannabis for personal use, but those people who are dealing cannabis. This seemed to have caused some sort of concern amongst particular members of the community and some misreporting in relation to where cannabis stands. The Metropolitan Police experiment was quite clear. Cannabis and possession of cannabis was still a criminal offence, but what the police were saying is that they would not focus their activities on people who had cannabis for personal possession, but they would be focusing on drugs dealers. Unfortunately, one of the side effects of that was that people came to Brixton believing that they would be able to freely use the drug, and also there was an influx of dealers into that area.
Cannabis is being reduced by the government to Class C. Amphetamine. Amphetamine sulfate is commonly known as speed or whiz. It normally comes in an off-white powder, but the color can vary from brown or pink. It is usually sold in a wrap, which is 1 gram of powder. You can sniff it or eat it and wash it with drink. The effect of amphetamine, like other drugs, varies from person to person. Generally, it includes nervous excitability, sleeplessness, and unlimited energy. LSD, acid. LSD is commonly referred to as acid or trips, and has experienced a revival recently. It is a hallucinogenic drug and normally comes in the form of impregnated paper squares with various motifs on them. Each square sells for a few pounds. The effects of LSD are totally unpredictable. Users have little idea of what they are going to experience when they start a trip. The rave scene has been associated with amphetamine, LSD, and ecstasy. Ecstasy, often called E, sells as a tablet. Heroin. Heroin base is intended for smoking. Heroin is very expensive and is normally sold in wraps costing a few pounds. Heroin, like other powder drugs, is cut with bulking agents so that the drug dealer can make more money and may have a purity level as low as 6%. Cocaine. Cocaine comes in a white powder. Its crystalline structure gives rise to slang names such as snow or sleigh ride. Cocaine is usually snorted. It produces a short period of intense well-being. The effects usually wear off quickly, leaving the user depressed or anxious. The user can very easily develop a serious psychological dependence. Crack. Crack is a smokable derivative of cocaine and takes its name from the crackling sound it makes when being heated prior to inhalation or smoking. It is also known as rocks, stones, wash, solid white. It comes in a crystal lump which cracks into small pieces. It can be smoked in a joint or in homemade pipes such as cans. Crack is a powerful stimulant drug.